Most organization advice focuses on cleaning up messes, but ADHD homes don't need better cleaning habits, they need better systems. Because once the mess starts, it multiplies really fast. These ADHD systems help to stop mess before it starts so your home is easier to maintain even on your low energy days. They reduce forgotten items, unfinished tasks, random piles, and clutter buildup. In ADHD system, one is the land strip system. Mess just often begins when items have no clear stopping point in your home. So what you want to do is make one consistent land strip in your home for when items enter your home. And so what you want to do is choose one surface in your home, one zone in your home that items that come into your home, they land there first. Some examples of things that you might want to put here are bags, are packages, even groceries can go on the landing strip. And here's why this is good. You don't have all these random piles forming around your home. You're actually keeping clutter from spreading randomly around your home as well. And anything that's important will stay right here until you get to it. And the really great thing is everything actually passes through one predictable location, which is great for ADHD. And ADHD system 2 is the friction for clutter system. What it means is that you're going to make clutter a little bit harder, but you're actually going to make good behavior and good habits easier. You're going to make small changes to your environment that's actually going to guide your behavior automatically. And here are some examples. Placing functional items where you have places that just collect clutter all the time. If you're going to have something in that place, at least it has a function. And making sure that things you use daily are easy to reach and things you don't use as much, you can put them in slightly less accessible places in your home. And what you're doing is making that space look intentional. And when you do that, your brain is less likely to drop just random items in that space. And it doesn't have to be anything big. It can be something really small and simple like a lazy Susan that I'm using here for these different spices in this cabinet. And then when I look there, I know that only spices go in this one place on this lazy Susan. And here's why this is good, because everything on that surface is going to have some kind of function or something that you need. You're not going to have a whole lot of empty space to put things down that can just become clutter. And ADHD system number 3 is the end of task reset system. A lot of times we have messes that show up because a task is technically finished, but it's not fully reset after you finish the task. And here's what you want to do. You actually want to create a simple habit. Once you finish your task, whatever it is, you're going to reset the items that you use for that task only. And so what that means is you're not worried about the whole room, you're just worried about that one activity that you just completed. And here are some examples. You made coffee, but you leave all the supplies out that you used to make the coffee. You maybe put your makeup on, and then once you're finished, all the products that you use to put your makeup on are still out on the counter. Or you might have gotten a package and then you just leave the packaging behind just spread out. And here's why you should do this. Small little resets like this actually prevent multiple messes from stacking one on top of each other, and then you just end up with a lot of messes that you have to figure out how to get rid of and clean up. And ADHD system number 4 is the buffer basket system. A lot of times clutter happens when we can't decide where something goes, and so we place that item randomly around your home. So instead of doing that, you're gonna create one small basket for your delayed decisions about things. And then once a week, you're gonna go back and look at the things in the basket and see if you have a decision yet as to where something goes. And some things to put in there are things you're just not sure where to go, items that maybe you wanna return, things that might belong in another room. All those things are really good to put in this basket. And here's the reason you wanna do this. Having that one decision zone prevents you from having these different small piles around your home where you just lay stuff because you don't know where it should go. And ADHD system number 5 is the no empty hands entry system. A lot of times we create messes just by coming into a room and dropping everything immediately. And so what you want to do is create one simple rule. When you're entering your home, any item that you have, you take it to their first home in your home, the place you usually put it, before you do anything else. And here are some examples. You come in, you take your shoes off, make sure you take them to the shoe rack where you store your shoes. You need to hang something up and do that immediately as you enter the door. You have mail, take it to the tray, you keep your mail in immediately, and then you come back and organize it later. And here's why you should do this. A lot of times those items we temporarily drop can become permanent clutter, and we're trying to prevent that from happening. And ADHD system number 6 is the project parking system. ADHD brains, we often leave projects mid-progress. And when we do that, that can create visual clutter really quickly. So instead of trying to finish everything immediately, have one defined space in your home where you're working on active projects. And here are some examples of things you can use at that place. A basket, a tray, a bin, have a rolling cart and put stuff on the rolling cart and keep it there. And the reason this is good for ADHD because when your projects have just one home, they're not spread out across multiple surfaces in your home. And then if you think about returning to it later, it's much easier to find where all that stuff is. And then if you just decide you don't want to do that project anymore, then you still know where that stuff is to actually get rid of it and start a new project. And ADHD system number 7 is the limit the inventory system. The more stuff you own, the more decisions our brain has to make on what to use, whether to keep it, whether to throw it away. And so what you want to do is actually reduce the clutter by limiting how much of certain items you can have in your home. For example, here's some things you can think about reducing. How many towels do you need? How many throw blankets do you need? How many mugs or plates or bowls do you need? And then once you've made the decision of how many of the items you want in your home, when that maximum number is reached, before you bring in another item of that type, you need to get rid of one of the items of that same type out of your home. And here's the reason why this is great for ADHD, because the less items you have in your home, the easier it is to organize those items and maintain those items, and the less decisions you have to make when you have less items as well too. And ADHD system number 8 is a daily capacity system. A lot of times messes happen when we take on more than we realistically have time or energy to manage. So what you want to do is create limits for new projects, new purchases, and new commitments. And here are some examples. Only have 1 to 2 home projects going at a time, or finishing one organization change before you start another one. And here's why you should do this. Protecting your capacity actually protects your environment. And ADHD system number 9 is the time container system. Mess happens when tasks actually just feel endless. There's no actual definite time you're going to do the task for. So instead, you want to give organization tasks a time limit. And some examples are having a 5-minute reset timer, or doing a 10-minute declutter and organizing around your home, saying you might just clean one surface or organize one surface and reset it. And the reason this is good because time containers prevent overwhelm, which prevents avoidance, which prevents buildup. Small, consistent effort prevents larger messes later. And ADHD system number 10 is the fewer surfaces system. Flat surfaces naturally just attract clutter in your home. The more unused places in your home, that's more places that mess can begin. So what you want to do is actually reduce unused surfaces if possible to do that. And the reason this is good because fewer surfaces means fewer opportunities for clutter to accumulate on that surface. ADHD organization works best when systems reduce effort, reduce decisions, reduce overwhelm. When your environment guides your behavior, there are fewer chances for mess to start. And when mess starts less often, your home is easier to maintain, even in the busy seasons and the low energy days. And you might be thinking, well, that's great, but I don't know how to get started with ADHD organization. I have a playlist that has videos in it to help you with just that. I'm gonna put it up. Just click that playlist and find the videos that work for you.